Hello and welcome to our session today. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Scott Forrester. I'm a Customer Success Director at Bizarrje, and joining me today are Cynthia Tan, who is the Digital Transformation and Capability Lead at Unilever, as well as Anuradha Mallya, who is a Senior Project Manager and Process Analyst for one of our partners, Nividous. Today we are going to be continuing our series of discussions on how Bizarrje can assist organizations with their supply chain challenges. And as we chat with Cynthia and Anuradha today, we will be finding out about how they've implemented the Bizarrje platform to give them the cross-border commercial agility that they needed at Unilever. On today's agenda, we are going to cover a little overview about Bizarrje and how we assist in supply chain processes. We will then be having a look at the cross-border challenges which Unilever was facing, and then Anuradha will be demonstrating some of the processes which have been implemented to assist us to address those challenges. And then there'll be some opportunity afterwards for some closing questions. So please feel free to log those questions for us. Just to start with then, who are we as Bizarrje? Bizarrje is a global leader in the low-code process automation space. We feature and have been recognized by Gartner and by Forrester. We currently have over 400 enterprise customers, and that includes deployments in 56 countries and users in every country and region in the world. Our customers are across a number of different industry verticals. Today we are specifically talking about supply chain, but essentially we can assist customers with any process automation requirements that they have. And so we have customers in the manufacturing spaces, we have customers in the financial services spaces, we have customers in retail, customers in logistics. And on the screen in front of you, you'll be able to see a number of our customers across those verticals. In addition to that, we also have a number of partners, and our partners are able to provide numerous services for our customers. And so we have partners who are able to provide consulting and project management and process development services for our customers. But we've also got a number of key strategic partnerships with some of the main technology houses. And so we have a partnership, as you can see there, with Microsoft, as well as a number of the robotic automation companies. So Automation Anywhere, Blue Prism, and UiPath. And what these enable us to do is to provide strategic integrated services for our customers who are making use of those technologies as well. In terms of how Bizarrje assists in the supply chain area, we have customers who are using Bizarrje to help them right across the entire spectrum of the supply chain, from the sourcing of raw materials and management of those, through management of suppliers, through the manufacturing process, product and pricing, as well as distribution. And again, not just for supply chain companies specifically or logistics companies specifically, but across the spectrum. And so you'll see we provide services for Sierra, for Deutsche Post, for Audi, and of course Anuradha and Cynthia, who are speaking to us today, will be showing us what we have been doing with Unilever. Where does Bizarrje actually fit in here? Bizarrje is really a tool that is key for orchestration and integration. So not only are we managing the process, but Bizarrje is able to seamlessly integrate with both our front-end services as well as all of our back-end services, such as financial systems, RPA bots, if you have them, email and spreadsheets, databases and APIs, SAP, and any other number of processes. So while we are running those, while we're assisting to run those processes of yours across our platform, at the same time, we're able to seamlessly integrate and pass data, information, and processes backwards and forwards across any number of your legacy systems. So with that, I would like to introduce Cynthia Tan, who I said is the Digital Transformation and Capability Lead at Unilever. Cynthia, please would you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Unilever and the challenges that you are facing?
Hi everyone, my name is Cynthia Tan. I've worked with Unilever for almost 22 years in various roles, including finance, procurement, IT, and have done multiple various business and IT projects in Unilever. My current role in Unilever now is a digital transformation and capability lead for one of the business unit in Unilever called Unilever International. Now, to explain a little bit more about Unilever International, I would like to give a bit of understanding about the business unit I'm working on, because this particular business unit have a lot of challenges, and that's why a tool like Bizarrje has been able to help us to unlock a lot of our productivity and efficiencies. So we normally describe Unilever International as a speedboat model. And the reason why is we're comparing that to a typical Unilever business model, and we call that a mothership model. Yeah. The typical Unilever business model, like what you normally see in your geography, is they typically handle core Unilever brands. They normally distribute locally. Yeah. Seldom they export outside of their local markets. And they typically focus on big items, so big bets, and largely made to stock, meaning that they will bring in the stocks and put into their warehouse before delivering to their customers. Whereas with the Unilever International speedboat model, we actually sell all brands in Unilever. Anything you can find in Unilever in another country, you probably see Unilever International selling it. Yeah? We are cross-border distribution primarily. We sell to different countries across the globe. Yeah, we are niche. We have geographies that are niche. We do have geographies that's complex and challenging. Yeah, when I say challenging, means it's difficult to reach areas. Yeah. On top of that, we are made to order, meaning that we don't normally keep stock in any of our warehouses at all for Unilever International. In 2021, our business is more than 1 billion euro globally. Now, just a little bit more in terms of Unilever International and our supply chain. It's because I've explained this is a cross-border. So it's rather complex in terms of our data sets as well as our data points. Yeah. If you look at the number of SKUs that we sell, it's over 20,000 SKUs with 120,000 shipping documentation on an annual basis. Yeah, the amount of invoices that we generate, yeah, that does not even include credit notes. Yeah, is 100,000 plus. Annually, we have 600 NPDs. Now, if you divide 600 by 12, yeah, you will see that we have about 50 over innovation every month. Yeah, I mean that from any business perspective is very complex. Yeah, 1,000 plus regulatory checks, and then you can see from the bottom there all our different matrices in terms of number of customers, number of invoicing entities, etc. Now, we are also having 4 different SAP instances, meaning that they don't talk to each other. The master data is all different. Therefore, there's a big challenge for us to make sure that all of them come up to one common data set so we can then be able to generate reports, meaningful reports out of them. Yeah. So with this complexity, yeah, and if I look at our processes in Unilever International, if you move to the next slide, please. Yeah. So when I look at the processes that we have within Unilever International, and this typically is your order to cash process for most organization. Yeah. So the items that I see highlighted in blue are those items that are all those processes that we have used Bizarrje as part of, into our organization. Yeah. For example, in the first column, you see on planning and NPD, new product introduction, development or introduction, we have used Bizarrje to help us to document or to understand the processes that's required to bring a particular SKU to the market or to the customer. Yeah. And if you look at our master data, whether it's customer master data or the creation of a customer, to pricing, to product, to even credit management of the customer, all of these we have used Bizarrje for our processes. So if you look at where one of the key areas that Bizarrje can play a major part in your organization is actually master data and maintenance. Yeah. Now there's also under logistic, under shipment documentation, under marketing activities, which is what the promotions that we use, that we have with our customers, and then the management of those activities once the claims come in. Yeah. So these are the key activities in the order to cash that we have offshore, where we have used Bizarrje. Yeah. So I'd like now to hand over to Anuradha to then explain two of these processes to you in terms of how we implemented it in Bizarrje. Over to you, Anuradha.
Thank you, Cynthia. Hello, everybody. I'm Anuradha Mallya. I'm a senior project manager and process analyst at Nividous since around 10 years. So I have more experience actually on top of that. So I've been working on BPM for around 12 years. So that's been my core domain, I would say. And working with Unilever International since 2018, which is now 3 years. So now a little bit about Nividous. Nividous Software Solutions was founded in 2011 with 5 worldwide locations. Yeah, in 5 worldwide locations. So we have 2 offices in India, 1 in London and 2 in the United States. We have had a 100% success rate with around 80 plus customers across different domains, I mean, our motto is that we do not lose a single customer. To date, we haven't. We have received many industry awards. We've been recognized by Gartner and Forrester on our implementation approach in BPM for the most innovative use of attended RPA by customer. Our main area of focus is intelligent automation. So it is basically robotic process automation, business process automation, and AI, and associated services is what we offer to customers. We have customers across various domains, as you can see. Now, with Bizarrje, we have been a partner with Bizarrje since 2016. We have around 40 plus Bizarrje consultants working for us. We aim to increase to 80 by end of this year. We have 9 Bizarrje customers who we have, helped implemented Bizarrje processes for. As you can see, we have delivered 20 plus solutions in Bizarrje in different domains. We've been associated as we've been actually declared as partner of the year in 2018 and 2021 both by Bizarrje. Also, one very interesting thing is that the team which worked with Unilever International, which is my team, has won the most innovative Bizarrje widget and most innovative Bizarrje connector awards in the Bizarrje 2020 hackathon. So we are like, you can say, the technical experts for Bizarrje. Okay, now let's dive into 2 key processes that we have implemented for Unilever International. One is the pricing framework management process, PFM, which we call it as PFM, and customer shipping information, which is CSI. Okay, so pricing framework management comes under the pricing part of it, and customer shipping is more related with the delivery, the shipment part of the end-to-end process. Okay, so we're starting with pricing framework management. Okay, so what is pricing framework? Unilever International sales have different pricing models based on multiple parameters. The models are based on the type of the customer, whether the customer is a retailer or a trader or a distributor. It's also dependent on the Incoterms, whether it's a free on board type of an Incoterm, which is valid for the customer, or whether it's X warehouse. So it's very highly dependent on the Incoterms. It's also dependent on the sourcing and destination countries for the customer. So there are, as you can see, there are a number of parameters. So this framework is the basis on which the pricing would be done to the customers. So it's very important to ensure that it is modeled properly and approved by all the relevant people who need to approve as per the company policy. So that's what this process helps everyone to do. Okay. Yeah. Now I'm just coming to the user journey. So we'll just go through all the stakeholders in this process and what are the needs of each of the stakeholders and how Bizarrje has helped here. So the pricing process owner is a stakeholder, of course, the main stakeholder. He needs to ensure that each customer has a defined pricing framework. He needs to ensure that when the actual pricing is done for the customer, the framework is followed. He also needs flexibility for tweaking the margins to ensure, there's profitability and, sometimes goods don't get spoiled and things like that. And they are, so there's something called, there's special prices sometimes which can be set easily. So all that is the flexibility is needs to be given by this process. Customer development is an easy way to represent these pricing frameworks and to visualize them. This is important because they are the people who are defining these frameworks for the customer, who are interacting with the customers, defining these frameworks and submitting them for approval. So it should be easy for them to represent these frameworks. They also need the ability to choose multiple customers so that they can do this in bulk if they require to, so that it's less time consuming. They also need to see the visibility of what the status is of their requests. Then there are the approvers of these frameworks. They need to see everything properly. They need to see all the margins, the final calculations. Everything should be easily visible to them on their forms or in the emails which come to them. And of course, they need an easy way to approve because many of them, they are senior management, so they're traveling and then they're getting lots of requests. So they need a very easy way to approve. Then comes the auditors, of course, they need a way to monitor the controls, whether everything is happening properly as per policy, company policies. So these are the stakeholders, and the Bizarrje implementation has really helped, in this way. So I'm just showing you how Bizarrje has helped for each of these needs. Like, for example, we have validations built in to ensure that pricing frameworks are followed. We have configurable margins, which can be, tweaked wherever required without, downing the system or anything like that. And of course, there are detailed reports for visibility. Similarly, for customer development, we have a visual and intuitive pricing matrix. It's very easy for them to visualize on the screen and easily do tick, 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 and they can choose multiple customers. They can choose the margins that they require very easily and submit for approval. You'll be seeing some of that in the demos, which would be shown to you afterwards. And there's a detailed case summary and audit trail for visibility. For approvers, they can approve via email by just clicking the link in an email and sending the email back. And all the required data is formatted and shown in a very easy to view manner in the email also. For auditors, again, there's a detailed case summary, audit trail, and a configurable approval matrix. This is actually a very important part to ensure that if there are any changes in the hierarchy or in the approvals policy, it can be easily configured. So that's about pricing framework. Now you'll be seeing a demo of the pricing framework. A quick creation of how the pricing framework is defined. Creating a new case. Okay, this is just a nice diagram, which explains the different entities that are interlinked and define the pricing framework, like the customer, the destination countries, which is the geography, the different channels, and the portfolios for the customer, which are the products that you plan to sell in the destination country for the customer, and what are the channels that you're going to have. So I'm creating a new case. This is usually done by the business development team. Okay, so what happens is I've logged in as the business development manager, and you can see that it shows me all the customers that I have access to. So if there's only right now I have only one customer which has a pricing framework defined. All these customers yet don't have a pricing framework defined. So let me try. Let me choose this customer, Madhavi Export, and the destination country of say India. Yeah, so I have to define. So what I'm doing here is I'm defining a pricing framework for this customer and for the ship to country United Arab Emirates, and the destination country is India. Here. So yeah, so I'm selecting the customer, clicking on next step. Now the next thing I need to do is select the product portfolio. What are the product categories that I am planning to define the pricing framework for? So let's say I choose ice cream and tea. Okay. So it shows me all the categories available, and I selected the ones that I require here. I'll go to the next step. Now I need to select the channels. Okay. So here the channels are like hypermarket, discounter. So say this is for a supermarket. The channel is going to be supermarkets and hypermarkets. So I selected these two channels and I clicked on next step for the next step of the pricing framework definition. Now what I have to do is I'm defining the customer product portfolio by channel. So since I have only one customer, so it's asking me whether all the selected product portfolio are sold in all the selected channels. So I can say yes or no. So if I say no, so say ice cream is only sold in the hypermarkets and tea is only in the supermarkets. Just a hypothetical case. I can do that selection. Okay, so that's done. You can see that status has become complete. Go to the next step. Okay, so now what I need to do is it's showing me the review. It's showing me it's like a review the selections that I've done till now. So it's showing me all the details here that I've selected till now. So I'm okay with this. I'm going ahead. The next thing I need to do is define the route to market. So basically define whether this is a consolidator or a trader or importer or distributor. So it's the type of customer that we have here. So say this customer is a distributor. So I can select that, and as you can see it shows the route to market for this customer. Click on save. Okay, you can see that it's reflecting for this particular customer, this particular route to market image. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to the next step. Now I'm defining the entire pricing ladder here. Okay, so I select this particular customer. Why I have to select the customer every time is I can do this for multiple customers at a time. Here I have selected only one customer, but I could have potentially selected 5 customers and done it all together. Okay, and then I have to do it for each of the customers one by one. There's only one, so there's only one row here. Okay, so now it's showing me, what the different terms are, here, like from factory to the warehouse to the port, origin port, then it gets shipped to the destination ports, then to the distributor warehouse, and then if it's a retailer, it goes to the secondary customer, and then to the consumer. So it's just showing me the meaning of all the terms used in the pricing framework. Okay, so now I'm defining the margins. So whatever the customer's margin has to be. So say it's 10%. the retailer's margin, say 12%. Now it will show me all the calculations based on that. It shows me what the price to what the price to the customer is. So it will be 79.20 for every $100 say. Then I can add in some more optional costs if I require to. I can even do this at the brand level. So let's say for ice cream, I want to select specific brands. I can do that here. So say I'm selling Big Ben and Jerry's and Blue Ribbon. It will show me all the brands possible. Okay, so I'm just selecting 2. So I can select the brands here. So for tea, suppose I can. So I just let me select a couple of brands for tea. I don't need to do it. I can even define the pricing framework at the product level, category level. Here I just opted to select brands, specific brands. Then if I have any other margins, I can add on that additional TTS discount. So say 3%. I can, if there's a custom duty, I can put that here. Say 5%. Shows me all the the calculations happen, and it shows me the final price to the customer. Okay, then I have to save the ladder. Okay, that's done. Now now there are further things I need to define here. So I'm defining which option I would like to view my defined price point index for a RSP of 100. So say I want to do it at each specific division, category, brand. I can select that. Okay, calculate. So since I have selected different brands, I need to put in the brand mix. Okay, so as to total 100. So say I put 25%. All the margins, weighted margins here. I'm saving the pricing ladder. Show me the entire pricing point index details over here for all the brands that I selected. So let's collapse it. So that's it, and I'm going to the next step. Now it will show me the entire summary of all of the entire pricing framework that I defined for this customer here. So here I have to review all the entire summary of the pricing framework. So whatever I have filled in till now, I can review. Okay, price point index. And that's it. And then I submit it for approval. It will go to the different approvers depending on the matrix that we have set for approval. So what the email looks like to the approver from pricing framework process after the requester has submitted the approver will get a mail like this on his mobile usually, and he would go through all the details. Everything is available, whatever was put in into the pricing framework is available here to review. You can see all the price point details, and then he can click on either approve, he can request for changes, or he can reject using these links. So he can, so if he's approving, he can click on it and then put in some comments. Okay, now that you've seen the demo, some metrics here which we are presenting for PFM. We have had around 600 plus customer pricing frameworks defined till now on Bizarrje. And they are, for 25 plus pricing model combinations. These pricing models are for more than 130 ship to countries, 230 brands. So you can see, the complexity involved. More than 111 business users and 26 approvers are using PFM currently, and they are across 22 countries. The average TAT, the turnaround time which we find from start to end of the process, is come down to 3 days, which is pretty good considering there are number of levels of approvals. Also, this process took, this is just for information, this process took around 5 months implementation time with 5 project team members. By project team members, I also mean, I'm including the business users who participated in the design and the requirements and the design part of the process, as well as, of course, the user acceptance testing. So that's about PFM. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the next process, customer shipping information. We'll do a deep dive into this one. For Unilever International, 90% of their sales are cross-border, and the customer is typically the importer on record. Okay, so it's very important that for customs clearance, all the relevant shipping information and documents are all present and in good shape to clear the goods. So there are this is a very complex process because of all the different information. There are more than 50 plus fields which are shown in the the CSI form. Also, there are number of documents which are involved. So like the safety documentation, the bill of lading information, shipment packing. So there are a number of parameters which needs to be captured. Also, this shipping information is specific to the country which it's from where the goods are sourced and where they are destined to. So it all depends on where the goods are sourced from, the type of goods they are. So suppose there are some dangerous goods or like inflammable substances, or if it's like ice cream, there are different documents, safety documents, etc., which are involved. Okay, so all this is managed using this process. Similarly, now we go into the user journey for CSI. There's the shipping process owner who needs to ensure that customer shipping information is maintained correctly to avoid any shipping delays. Some of this shipping information needs to go into some dependent systems of Unilever International. So they need to ensure that information also flows accordingly to dependent systems. Also, of course, all visibility is required so that all the people who are interested need to get this information easily visible. The customer development, they are the people who are in touch with the customers. They need an easy way to maintain this complex shipping information. They need to get customers' signatures over here. This is very important so that we know that we have the buy-in from the customer related with their shipping information. The reminders need to be sent to the customers because many a time the customer doesn't respond, and that's what's been happening previously. So automated reminders are required for the customers to sign this CSI information. And of course, visibility is required. Then there's the sourcing unit. The sourcing unit needs to review the shipping information from the sourcing point of view. So customer is the end point, sourcing unit is the start point, right? So the sourcing unit also needs to review this information and approve on the go. Also, if they need to make any changes, it needs to go back and forth from the customer to the customer development and to the sourcing unit to the customer. So there has to be some back and forth if required. Then there's the documentation team. They need to ensure that region and country shipping policies are followed properly, correctly. The shipping documentation required is all set properly and signed off properly. So these are all the stakeholders. And of course, the Bizarrje implementation has really helped by adding all the required things. Like for the pricing process owner, we have validations and email reminders to ensure that things happen properly, correctly. We have daily exports which are mailed to the Haven team. Haven team is a dependent system to which certain relevant CSI information goes. There are detailed reports. We have Excel uploads and a tabbed easy to use interface. This is required because it's a very complex information. So sometimes people prefer that, they type into Excel and upload the information. So we have catered for that also. There's DocuSign integration so that the customers can sign in DocuSign, do digital signing, and of course, there are auto reminders. Uh, and, and then we have audit trail as usual. Approvers have the flexibility to approve via email, and all the required data is attached using an Excel template, as well as they can review all the data in email and approve. Then there are the auditors. To ensure compliance, we have ensured that we have configured all the rules related with the shipping documents in Bizarrje. To ensure that, so if there's a free trade agreement between some countries, there are some forms which need to be filled. So we have put in all those rules into Bizarrje to ensure that those are all followed. Then there's a tabbed interface for review and setting the documentation. So it's all easy to see and visible even to the auditors. So that's the user journey for customer shipping information. And then we'll go into the demo now.
I'm giving a short demo of the customer shipping information screens. So just to save time, I have pre-filled all the information in this form. This is the creation form for customer shipping information. So as you can see, it has multiple tabs, because there are a lot of fields required for shipping. As you can see, the first tab is related with the customer. So basic customer information here. The source country related information, the ship to information, the port of destination basically, and the Incoterms. These are two very important fields. Okay. Then there is the bill of lading information, consignee information, carrier information. All this is filled in. The shipping documents. This is actually, I would say, the heart of this process because all the rules are involved over here. Depending on the product categories that we are selling, the country, the origin country, the destination country, all those rules are set into this process to identify the different documents required. So as you can see, there are a number of documents like the invoices, the packing list, bill of lading, the batch code report. So you can select all these things. Also, there would be some things which are selected by default depending on the product category. So if your product category is dangerous goods, then there would be certain things which get auto selected. Okay, and depending on the countries, there could be some certificates which are mandatory. So all that would get reflected over here. These are all the different forms. As you can see, there are so many forms. And depending on the free trade agreements that countries have, there are separate forms also required. So this is related with the shipping documentation. Also, you can add, the email addresses, any additional documents that you have, sample documents that you have, mailing information, the delivery instructions can be put over here. The shipment packing related informations, pallet information, everything can be put in here. So this is what the shipping information case looks like. Okay, so once everything is filled, we can submit it for the documentation to team reviews. Okay, I have to add one customer service name, so let me do that. So I'm just putting my information here as the CSO so that all the mails come to me and not to someone else. Okay, I have updated the CSO, customer service officer basically. It's done, and now I'm submitting the case. It it takes a while because all this information is then exported into an Excel sheet, which gets sent out to the customer, so that the customer can verify everything is okay and then do the signing that's required in the DocuSign. Also, it's as you can see, it has gone to various people for documentation review. So that's it. Actually, now I will show you the DocuSign part. I'm demonstrating the DocuSign part of the CSI process now. So once the DocuSign is reviewed and submitted, and all the approvals are done, it would be an email would be sent to the customer to review all the CSI information via DocuSign and sign it. So this is the email which will be coming to the customer, asking him to sign. And peruse the document. Okay, so this is the PDF format which will be sent to him for signing. So all the information is exported into a PDF by the process. You can review everything, all the information required can be reviewed. You can see all the different sections, whatever we could see in tabs is now all put into a PDF. Okay, and then he can sign it from here. Okay, and click finish to finish signing. And once that is done, if required, he can of course download a copy of the document. And yeah, and after this, the process will move ahead for the next step in the process.
Okay, here are some metrics for CSI. As you can see, you can see it's like 10,000 plus records are already existing in Bizarrje. So you can see how many combinations there are. So these are the combinations of customers sold to, ship to. So basically the destination, port of destination, the source country, since already there are so many CSI records in Bizarrje. So that's the volume. As you can see, there are 900 plus customers to whom these CSIs belong. They're across 50 source countries and 600 plus destination ports. They're all these CSIs are actually managing 40 plus document types. You can see they just listed down all the documents, which are usually involved, the forms and stuff. Yeah, the turnaround time has been found to have reduced to 8 days. And there are users across 60 plus countries. 60 plus users across 7 countries. This process again took around 5.5 months of implementation time, with 5 project team members, including the business team. So that's about the CSI metrics. So to summarize, we have 10 plus processes, 4 processes of Unilever International, which are automated in Bizarrje. So they are developed and managed. In the sense, managed, we are doing production support for these processes also. The key benefits have been 100% improvement on the control compliance. The productivity has improved a lot. We need to put in some metrics in place, but yes, I mean the initial measures which are coming out is that the productivity has improved considerably, and there is data integrity and integration across the processes now, which we have implemented. So that's all. Now I'll hand over to Scott for the next section, which is the Q&A.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cynthia, for sharing your challenges with Unilever. And thank you also, Anuradha, for sharing some of the solutions that were implemented to address those challenges. And we've had a number of questions coming through as you've been speaking. And the first question, I think, is for Cynthia. When you were looking at getting Bizarrje and implementing Bizarrje into managing your processes, did you have an existing process system in place? Were you replacing that? Or was it more a question of trying to join the dots between existing systems using integration?
So to answer to your question, if you consider Excel and emails as a system, yes, we did have a system in place, although it's rather manual and cumbersome and prone to control failures. So Unilever International is a new business unit, yeah, and it's also a new business model in Unilever. We are only 10 years old this year. When we started the business, we did not want to be constrained by systems, and the organization was relatively small and therefore easy to manage. As the business grew exponentially, Excel and emails was getting just too difficult to handle and manage, as you can probably tell. So we needed a workflow system that will firstly that will be easy to implement, simple enough to implement for someone like me. It's relatively low cost, with easy and quick development, and able to work with multiple data sets and integration. So we had explored at that time in 2019, or at the early part of 2019, for a BPM tool. And we selected Bizarrje based on those above features. Yeah. And I must say, since then, when we first started, it was probably just one or two processes. We didn't know whether we were gonna, implement more. But as the years go by, we just keep on adding and adding. So I'm very happy with, what we've implemented with Bizarrje in the last 3 years.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Another question that's come through for yourself specifically is, what would you say are the key benefits that you've been able to enjoy by implementing the Bizarrje platform? What are sort of the top wins that you've felt doing this?
Okay, I think the first one, which mentioned as well in the summary, is control compliance. So with a complex business like Unilever International, we had many data sets. Yeah, this includes, like we mentioned, customers, vendors, products, shipping points, and also understanding whether our employees. Could you imagine, right, when you send us the approval, the process to a certain approval, and if that person leaves, yeah, how are you going to have that updated in the process? That whole end-to-end automation is critical. And also to ensure that we know at any given point in time, the status of the process is critical. And also to ensure that those processes are complying with financial controls, such as the schedule of authority for approvals. Yeah. We had lots of challenges previously when auditors come in and says that, please show me samples of your process and that it is following as per what you say you're going to do. Yeah. And imagining finding through emails, yeah, of previous correspondence to evidence that approval. Yeah. And it's more challenging when people has left the business a year ago or 6 months ago, and now you have to go to their emails, which it's not there. Yeah. So it has been, I think that is one of the key areas, yeah, a key benefit that we had. The other thing is productivity. Now, in terms of productivity, it had eliminated a lot of non-value added activities, such as creating manual reports. Yeah. So, with your emails and then your process and then getting to understand, who has done what. Imagine putting like that the 600 plus PFM, yeah, into an Excel. It's mind-boggling. And then chasing the different teams for statuses. Yeah. We are now moving more to value-added activities and actions to then prevent any of those processes from breaking down. Yeah, so that in terms of productivity. The last one, and there's probably many more benefits, just put in the key ones, is data integration. Yeah. We are able to link lots of various data sets in and out of Bizarrje. Not only that, but Bizarrje also allow us to do a lot of pre-configuration, pre-populated views that allows users to just, get on with the work. Yeah, that we don't have to do all these keying of data where it's already available, and also to then configure in such a way and put down rule set. Yeah, so that users do not have to then create those rule set outside of the Bizarrje or the process. So these are the three key ones. But like I said, there's many, many, many more. I can go on the whole day. Yeah, I don't have enough time. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that, Cynthia.
You're welcome.
Obviously, this has been quite a journey, and I saw on the slides that it takes sort of 5 months and a number of role players to implement something like this. Are there any major learnings or key pieces of advice that you'd like to give anybody else who's just starting on this automation journey?
Good question, actually, because when we first started out in 2019, it was a journey of discovery for us in the beginning, because we first say that, okay, we have this process, let's get it automated. Yeah. And then what happened was that we did not document that the to-be processes in the way that we should just reimagine how that process is going to be. So a lot of times we just take a template here. This is how it's done today. This is, just put it automated. It's not as simple, as straightforward as that. You need to understand, hey, what are the problems we're trying to solve? What's the output that we want to see? Yeah, because it's supposed to solve a problem. A process is supposed to help you to resolve something. It's just not automating for the sake of automating. And a lot of times when we did the whole discovery, you also need to get the data points. Is there opportunity for those data points to be then streamlined? Yeah, because the way we used to do it may not be the best way as well. Yeah. So that whole discovery stage, when we first initially did it, we just automate. Yeah. And we end up having lots of reiteration. Yeah. Where user says that this is not giving me what I wanted. Yeah. Right. And then it went for another UAT and another UAT. And it seems like never ending. That was for the first 1 or 2 processes. And we became better at it now, where we say that, hey, now we make sure that we have to document the processes. We have the document in terms of what do we want to achieve. Yeah, then that actually reduces a lot of the testing issues and going the business go live. As you know, right, typically you have a technical go live and a business go live. Yeah, and the reason why we never go on a business go live is because they never accepted the functionality. Yeah, so ideally technical and business go live should be the same. Yeah, should not be any different.
Right. Great, thank you very much for that. I then have a sort of a 2-part question around partnership, and I guess it's somebody wanting to know sort of the view from both sides. And so, Cynthia, the first part to you, what advantages did you see in using an implementation partner as opposed to developing those skills in-house yourselves?
Okay, so I'll look at developing an in-house expertise myself. Firstly, I don't have that expertise to develop any in-house expertise. The other thing is Unilever is not an IT company. Yeah, and therefore, if without that technical expertise, I'm actually at the mercy of my own team. If you look at it in that way, yeah, to tell me what I can and cannot do. Yeah. Whereas if together with Nividous, having that development partner, we were able to go to them with our problems to say that, hey, this is our problems. They actually able to give us alternative solutions. Yeah. Because we may not know what is available. Yeah. Of course, there are certain ways because of their expertise in understanding lots of different BPM and workflows, they are able to come up with more solutions, more possible solutions for us where we may not be aware of. Yeah. Right. So I see definitely, I mean, at the end of the day, right, being able to get someone to help you drive the end-to-end deliverable of a process, yeah, is maybe the way that Nividous have worked with us is very comprehensive. Yeah, from start to end, they're in the process. On top of that, they're also in our BAU mode. That means business as usual. They're there to support us, so they see everything. So that's my point of view. Anuradha, your point of view?
Great. Thanks. I guess from Anuradha's, what we'd like to know from Anuradha is, it's very, Cynthia, you shared, it's very difficult to understand your own processes sometimes. The documentation is maybe not there. There've been workarounds over time and that sort of thing. And you mentioned that there was quite a lot of iteration in the beginning. So Anuradha, from your side, I guess you must have quite a rigorous way of embedding yourselves into the business, because you're kind of coming from outside and having to understand. So I suppose in one way it's bringing a fresh set of eyes, but you must have you must have quite a strong sense of methodology and whatever to really engage and embed yourselves.
Right. Actually, I have a couple of slides I can show on a methodology which I have prepared. Can I do that? Can you see my screen? Okay. So we do have a very detailed project, execution methodology for any BPM project, especially for Bizarrje. We have, tailored it to ensure that, it fits into the ethos of Bizarrje. Bizarrje has a specific way of doing things, I mean, it's like best practices, you can say. So you need to first do the modeling, the environment setup, and then go into the, data modeling. So we do have a very specific methodology, I would say. We also have, we need to ensure that, that there are iterations where we get all the final requirements from the stakeholders. So we have demos. So this is, I would say, this will give you a idea of, the taste of the methodology we follow. So it's very well set up. Now, for Unilever International, after we did a couple of processes, we tailored this and ensured that certain, things were always done. Like I've just noted the salient points which we are doing now for Unilever International. So we insist on a business requirement document, where they say, where they put in the problem statement and say what is the problem which they need to solve. That really helps, like Cynthia said. We ensure that there are mock-ups of screens made initially, rather than, we show them a demo and then they say, no, we don't want it like this. We want to change everything. So we ensure that after a couple of discussions with them, we make mock-ups of the screens and get it signed off by the business. Then we have multiple iterations with demos. And of course, from the internal technical perspective, we have reviews of all the key deliverables. Also, we have some agile practices which we maintain, like frequent demos, weekly meetings with the process owners. And we have reusable frameworks which we use, so across processes. So like take for instance, the case summary or the audit trail. So we use a typical framework for any case across processes. So for more than the 10 plus core processes which we have done for Unilever International, the case summary, if you look at, will look very similar. So there are certain things, practices, standards, and practices which we have followed. Usually in our previous Bizarrje implementations, we've traveled always on site for UAT and for go live, because we found that it has helped. But with Unilever International being such a wide, so it's like across geographies people are working, and everyone's, so that's not been possible. So we have now developed a very sophisticated way of, having user acceptance testing done and supporting them. So I would say these are the key things which we have tailored on the implementation.
Thank you, Anuradha. There was a question that came through, but Cynthia, I think you answered it already, and that was really about during this process of putting the Bizarrje platform in place. Did you just take processes and put them on, or did you tailor them? But I think you've, tailor them, fix them. But I think you've answered that question previously. The next question is to you, Cynthia, and that is, what do you see as being the value created by this automation for the business and its customers, and how has it been able to assist you to deliver customer excellence?
So one thing from Unilever International, like I mentioned, we have is cross-border transaction. A typical end-to-end from receiving a customer order to when that particular that stock is received by the customers can take between 3 to 9 months.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, given that long lead time, of from when the orders are placed to when the orders are finally received by the customers, it's important that any processes outside of that lead time is minimized and reduced. So that the customers can get their stock to the consumers, at the agreed shipping times. So the processes that we have implemented and automated in Bizarrje allows us to reduce those times. Earlier on, instead of when I mentioned 30 to 90, it was actually 60 to 120 days because of all those processes that we need to do via emails and chasing, etc. So now what we can do with that is our customer service level is now at an optimal level, or it could be better, of course, as always. But it's at a very good level where our customers are actually very happy to be able to get their stock, at the time where they requested for it. And it's very important because our customers needs to know their turnaround time of their stocks in their warehouse, and to be able to plan that and get those delivered to the time where our customers need it is important. So having those right tools ensure that. So this is how the value creation from this Bizarrje tool. The other thing is in terms of what's our plan for the future for Bizarrje or for even automation. Firstly, we are looking at the processes that we have automated in Bizarrje. How can we then expand that to other regions? Like I mentioned, Unilever International is invoiced out of 30 plus legal entities across the globe. We have only touched on 2 of them. So we are now going to expand those processes and hopefully standardize those processes as well across the region. The other thing we're also looking at is in terms of process mining our current, whatever we have right now and automated, because just because it's automated doesn't mean it's efficient. There will be certain gaps within those processes, and we need to understand those outliers and why those continue to be outliers. So this is the other plans that we have as part of process automation.
Thank you very much for sharing that, Cynthia. Those sound like very big, ambitious, and exciting plans. And we at Bizarrje are really excited to be able to assist with that, as I'm sure Nividous also is standing ready and willing to assist with that. Thank you very much for your time today and for being willing to share so much with us. We really do appreciate that. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us on the webinar today. And if you do have any further questions or any follow-up questions, we have some contact details on the screen there. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be more than happy to engage with you, to answer any questions, and to continue the discussion that we're having. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.